Going on, Locks Mob, and welcome back to the Locks DFS NHL Breakdown. I am your host, Narang, and I'll be breaking down this 7-game main slate on DraftKings and FanDuel for Thursday, February 28th. Before I get into that, though, if you guys can go ahead and like and comment on this video, not only would it mean a lot to me and getting good traction on this video, but you will be entered into winning our free season pass giveaway. As always, you guys know we run the same giveaway every week where we give away a free pass to just our more active likers and commenters. I got something in front of my face right now. We give something away to our most active likers and commenters and subscribers, just active members who show a lot of love. We like to give back. So go ahead and do that. And with that being said, let's jump into this slate. So we have a few games on this slate which definitely have the propensity to be very high scoring, or I should say the potential to be very high scoring. And my favorite high price center comes from one of those games, and that is the Edmonton-Ottawa game. And obviously my favorite high price center is Connor McDavid. As we know, Ottawa has been a dumpster fire the past few days, or I should say, I guess maybe the past week. They've traded away Mark Stone, Matt Duchene. They're basically the only two good players left on their team. They traded away Ryan Dzingel. The two good players left on their team are Thomas Chabot, who's a young, offensive-minded defenseman who struggles a bit defensively, but he's elite offensively, and Brady Tkachuk, who's got one of the higher iCorsi4 per 60s on Ottawa. I believe it's the highest. Again, a really talented offensive player, but has his struggles defensively. So I think that is indicative of Ottawa in general. They rank up in the bottom 10 in expected goals against per 60 over the last 10 games. And similarly so in high danger chances against over the past 10 games as well. So this is a great spot for an Edmonton team that actually has generated its fair share of offensive chances. Actually, I believe they're 15th now, which is still middling and decent. It's plus for Edmonton, but just as of the last time I ran this, which was 2 days ago, for Edmonton, I believe they were up in the top 10. So are generating a few more high danger chances. But anyways, to get to the point, McDavid, best player in hockey, in arguably the best matchup in hockey. They have a nice little team total at 3.3. I wouldn't overthink this one. I would just kind of lock it in and go from there. Coming down though into this mid-price range of centers, it's really interesting once you get down here. Starting, I think, around with Derek Stepan at 5.3K. Arizona, a team that has a great matchup versus a Vancouver team that we've been picking on for a while. Obviously, no Alexander Edler. And similar to Ottawa, this is just a really young team that has some good offensive weapons like Elias Pettersson and Brock Besser, Troy Stetcher. But all those guys just struggle on the defensive side of the puck. And it's a spot you can take advantage of with some Arizona guys. I like Derek Stepan. He's been skating some monster minutes recently and taking a big offensive role on that first line. He's skating with like Lawson Krause and Josh Archibald, who aren't great offensive weapons. So that's why Stepan has been shooting the puck so much more. Over his past 5 games, you can see 4, 5, 4, 3, and 6 shots on goal to go along with Connor McDavid-esque minutes. So I really like Derek Stepan here at 5.3K. And then one thing I just want to talk about real quick is this matchup for the LA Kings. So the LA Kings, a team that we just don't target. There was a stretch where we targeted them earlier in the year because they were so underpriced, and they just kept letting us down. We stopped targeting them, and they could let other people down now. But they have a matchup versus a Dallas team that is actually not doing great defensively. As you can see, bottom 10 in high danger chances against per 60 over the past 10 games. The problem here is that LA is actually last in that exact time span in high danger chances for per 60. So they do not generate a bunch of chances. So you got to, but I mean, you got to understand that, but I think that's factored into their price as well. So, I mean, you're looking at Anze Kopitar, who as of last year, maybe a year and a half ago, was one of the more talented players in hockey, and now he's 4.5K. Nothing's really changed as far as his role goes. He's skating on that first line with Dustin Brown. The problem with Kopitar is he's got an iCorsi4 per 60 under 10 this year, so I'm not too interested in going there. But Jeff Carter here at 3,500 is just like, that's as value as you will ever see Jeff Carter. I mean, this guy, he's still shooting the puck at a decent rate. What is he, 5th on them in iCorsi4 per 60, and he's playing on this second line with Tyler Toffoli and Ilya Kovalchuk. This line, let me pull it up. This line, as far as iCorsi4 per 60, Toffoli 17, second, really first when you factor in time on ice on the team, and then Kovalchuk 4th, could be third when you factor in timeout ice on the team. So you're getting like arguably their top 3 I Corsi 4 per 60 guys all stacked together on the same line and correlating on the power play for 3.5K, 3.9K, and 3.8K, which is what? That's less than 12K combined. They combine for a couple goals. That is the value line you'll need to bank tournaments. So just keep it in mind if you guys want to run some GPPs. I really like that LA Kings second line. But that's enough time talking about the Kings. Let's move on to winger. So starting at winger, not a bunch of high-priced guys that I'm overly excited about. If I had to pay up, I think I'm interested in a couple of these Columbus guys, mainly because like what I talked about just in general with Columbus adding Matt Duchene. They're one of the more exciting this first line is one of the most exciting first lines in hockey right now. Matt Duchene, Artemi Panarin, and Cam Atkinson. And they correlate extremely well on the first unit power play, as well as you can see all 3 guys on the first unit power play. So they make for a great high-end correlation stack because all these guys are very, very expensive. If I had to pick my favorite, Cam Atkinson always has a higher I Corsi 4 per 60, so he's probably a better bet to score a goal. Artemi Panarin, probably the better overall player. Take your pick. I guess go with the cheaper one where he's a 500 cheaper here on DraftKings. But where I'm most interested for winger is, again, in this mid-price range. These 2 Vegas guys I really want to talk about. Jonathan Marchessault at 5.7K and Riley Smith at 5K. Vegas, as you can see, projected for a massive 3.9. They opened at 3.9 projected goals. Has since dropped to 3.8 with slight reverse line movement on Florida. But this is pretty standard. You'll see this kind of reverse line movement, especially when a team that's a good team like Florida is open as such a big dog. You'll see a lot of sharps at Vegas not feel comfortable with that and try and bet them up a little bit, which makes sense. I mean, Florida probably shouldn't be minus 208 to anyone, even Vegas that's at home and as dominant as it gets as far as high danger chances 4 per 60 go. So looking at these 2 guys, obviously Jonathan Marchessault and Riley Smith correlate extremely well at 5v5 as well as on the 5v4 power play. Let me go ahead and pull that up for you guys so you can take a look at that. As you can see on the power play, Jonathan Marchessault, Riley Smith. And that's actually news as far as Vegas goes because Vegas has put this line back together. I forgot who they had skating up here. I believe it was Mark Stone, but they've since dropped Mark Stone back to the second line. So this first line of Vegas is back to how it was last year where they were arguably one of the best lines in the league, Corsi 4 percentage-wise. So big fan of going back to them at extremely discounted prices on DraftKings. Scrolling down a little bit farther, one last guy that I wanted to talk about is Clayton Keller on Arizona. Already talked about Arizona a bit, but I mainly talked about that Derek Stepan line, or really just him in general. But Clayton Keller, a great play in his own right. This is probably their more talented line with Nick Cousins and Alexei Galchenyuk. Clayton Keller, top 3 on Arizona in I Corsi 4 per 60. He's up there with Alexei Galchenyuk as well. And he correlates on that first unit power play with all the big dogs. So just an underpriced for one of the more talented young skaters in the league. This guy reached 6.5K last year. I believe even maybe earlier this year when he went on the heater, he reached 6K. But I would just take advantage of this price dip for sure. With that being said, let's move on to defense. Again, with defense, not a bunch of high-priced guys I'm overly interested in. I love Thomas Chabot. Just in general, like I talked about, was extremely talented offensive player. He's got a great matchup versus the Edmonton team that, as we all know, high danger chances against over the last 10 games, bottom 10 in the league. And then if we look at their penalty kill, 3rd worst in the league as well. And Thomas Chabot, a big place where he could make his money is on that power play. So I like him at 6,000 on DraftKings, but I really like him on FanDuel where he's 5.2K. On DraftKings, I may be more inclined to go down a little bit. Obviously, Zach Werenski, I'm going to just stop talking about how cheap he remains. And Zach Werenski is actually an especially good play because Philly's been a good 5v5 defense this entire year. Even the last 10 games, high danger chances against per 60, they rank 6 from the bottom, or 6 from the top, really. So they allow the 6th least. So it's not a great 5v5 matchup for Columbus, but it is a great power play matchup for Columbus versus the Philly power play or penalty kill that is very, very bad. So I like Werenski there. I really like the price on Drew Doughty at 4.6K. I'm a big fan of locking in 26 minutes in what is actually a decent matchup versus Dallas. And then the last guy I want to talk about is Oliver Ekman-Larsson right here. Again, just high on Arizona in general, a team that's actually last in the league in individual shooting percentage. Actually, I should say last in the league in shooting percentage, and have a bunch of individuals who are due for a bunch of positive regression as far as their puck luck goes. I believe they're shooting like 7% on the year, so that should go up. Ekman-Larsson coming off probably his best game of the season, and maybe his best stretch of the season. He's seeing awesome minutes, at minimum like 24 minutes a night, shooting the puck at a rate similar to his glory days of years past. So definitely take advantage of this dipped price on DraftKings and this cushy roll on the first unit power play with all the big dogs as well. With that being said, let's move on to goalie. So we're not really going to talk about goalie as always. Just look at your team, see what players you got, and then correlate that with your goalie so that if your team does well, scores goals, gets assists, then your goalie hopefully picks up the win. But yeah, guys, with that all being said, again, if you haven't already, please do like and comment on this video. It means a lot, and you'll be entered into winning our giveaway. I hope you guys win a ton of money on tonight's slate, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.